So, former co-host of The View, Rosie O'Donnell, has a long-standing feud with Donald Trump that dates back years before he became president. And now that he's back in power, she just made a drastic move. Watch.
I'm here in Ireland. Although I was never someone who thought I would move to another country, that's what I decided would be the best for myself and my 12-year-old. And I'm trying to find a home here in this beautiful country. And when, it is safe for all citizens to have equal rights there in America, that's when we will consider coming back.
And earlier this week, the Irish Prime Minister was asked about this in a loaded question from the conservative media correspondent who happens to be dating Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh, yeah. Take a look.
Ireland is known for very happy, fun-loving people, great attitude, many in this room right now that I've met. Why in the world would you let Rosie O'Donnell move to Ireland? I think she's going to lower your happiness level.
That's true. Thank you. I like that question.
Do you know you have Rosie O'Donnell?
No.
Do you know who she is? Do you know who she is?
Yeah.
I'm joking.
You better off You're better off not knowing.
Oh, no, he's going to be mad at Ireland now. Here comes the potato tariff. Why can't Trump let this go? This has been years now. He's still got it, as the Italians go, over here for Rosie O'Donnell.
Can you remind us what it is that she said about him or did to him? Because it's almost like, he's a toddler. His frontal lobe is not really fully developed, in my opinion. And so he probably suffers from that imposter syndrome. And maybe she did something that called him out on it?
Well, if you watch the clip, she basically flipped her hair, which he didn't care. I used to play with
around with this. This was what year? This was way before he was president.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Let's see.
2006, I'm
So I
being
was like
told
25.
in my ear.
No.
So she made a hair joke?
She flipped the hair. He didn't really care about that. It was the money, in my opinion.
Oh.
She was saying how many times he was bankrupted and blah, blah, blah.
Well,
and
he's not a real billionaire.
Well, that's...
Or he wasn't. He wasn't.
She called him out on it, and he freaked out, and he was so vicious to her on every station. People would take his phone calls in every station, MSNBC, CNN, everywhere he went, even here.
Well, so she spoke truth. She saw
that
through
dig at
him.
her in that presidential debate that Megyn Kelly moderated. He insulted her during
he can't get over it.
I was actually, I was at that Republican debate. It was the first debate of the 2016 primary. It was in Cleveland, at the place where the Cleveland Cavaliers play.
Good job.
And
wow.
Megyn Kelly asks the question, you call women fat slobs. I don't know if we have the clip. And he says, yes, but that's just Rosie O'Donnell. And I remember so vividly because the entire place erupted in laughter. It was full of people. And my phone, I had it on my lap on silent. My phone vibrated, and I looked down, and it was Rosie. And she was texting me, and she said, I am watching this debate with my kids so they learn about American government. How do I explain this to them?
Wow.
And so, look.
And what'd you say to her?
The hell am I going to say to her at that point? It's like, I'm sorry. I was mortified that had happened. I said, I'm sorry. I don't have an explanation for how you explain it to your kids. But I do know that if you're Rosie O'Donnell, who he hates, and in fairness, she hates him. It's mutual.
Oh, yeah.
And you are listening to him threaten Liz Cheney, and you're looking at him go after law firms, and you are listening to him saying he's coming back to be the retribution, and you know how ruthless and how vicious he is, and that he personally hates you, and you have a 12-year-old with special needs, and you want to bring her up in a place of love and peace, and you have the resources and ability, then you make the hard decision of leaving. Good for her. It's good that she's fought her entire life. She's putting herself first.
Well,
I'm very supportive.
It's a good teaching moment for a parent at that time, because Donald Trump can best be described as a textbook, bullies for dummies. This is who he is.
Yeah.
Way back in 1983, when Back to the Future came out, the character Biff was based on Donald Trump. That's been confirmed. So you're looking that he was already a bully.
That tracks really well.
And you can see it. Now watch it back. So it is a textbook example of explaining to your children there are going to be people that the only way they can be on top is to beat other people down. And those kids are going to run into that. Kids run into it every day. You just usually leave it behind on playgrounds across this country.
In middle school.
And now
Or high school.
we're seeing it elevated to certain levels. But I do think it's important to teach your kids about that because they're absolutely going to run into people just like Donald Trump.
So I do think it's important just to remember that America's bigger than the president. And I want to acknowledge that especially the LGBTQ community may feel uncomfortable in certain states right now. I just talked to Kara Swisher on our podcast yesterday about this. And I get if you have the means and you want to make that decision. But I'd also remind folks, I think Americans love to think we're so far behind and Europe is so progressive and ahead of us. It's just not really the case. We remain the most ethnically diverse, one of the most ethnically diverse nations on earth. We're the one where you're most likely to be able to come in from one socioeconomic class and in your lifetime be in a completely different one. This table doesn't exist in a lot of Europe. On LGBTQ rights issues, we're about as advanced as most of Europe. I know there are some places.
Racist too, though.
Well, we have way more diversity, though, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But you know
when you're a completely homogeneous nation like Denmark,
they don't
just
deal
not
with
that much
racism.
Yeah,
deal
but you
with
know what?
racism.
That's why people are upset because we like this country. We want it to stay the way it's
But
been.
that's my point, though. This country is bigger than who's president for 4 years. I just think it's important people remember. There are places I wouldn't be able to get IVF treatments in Europe. Like, we put a lot, and love my European friends, but we put everyone else on kind of this pedestal and act like America is so backward and broken. It's
Who
not.
does that?
Well,
I think this is still the greatest nation on earth.
It's a pretty young democracy that doesn't seem to be working right now. And so I do think
I believe more in America than Donald Trump's ability to
It
ruin
doesn't seem
Yeah.
to be working for everyone. And I think that's Rosie O'Donnell's prerogative, and that's her point. It doesn't work for her family, and she is one of the few people that can pick her life
Well, you
up
know,
and move it
it's
somewhere.
like
Most of us are stuck here.
I would absolutely believe that this country isn't imperfect and progress is slow, but I wouldn't want to live anywhere else.